Hi, everybody. I want to go over the end of Unit 2 and the beginning of Unit 3 with you. And before I start, I just want to remind you that as I'm reading your work, I need to be able to see that you have engaged in the lesson material. Sometimes you're writing things that might be correct, but they're not at all related to the lessons, and therefore you're not receiving all the points. Unit 2 is almost over. We've had social context lesson. We've had an access lesson, which you're wrapping up. I will grade the social determinant of access to health today or tomorrow. And let me just, so you have all of this stuff. Then you had Online 04 Healthcare, which you've already submitted. I will grade. Your discussion posts you're working on now. Your final reflection is due this weekend after you get a chance to look at the discussion board. And your final checkpoint for Unit 2 your final reflection for Unit 2 is due Saturday. Checkpoint 2 is due Sunday. So this reflection, again, make sure you are applying the material from the lessons. It asks you, I believe, to relate back to your discussion board and refer to it as you're answering some of the questions. Make sure you do that. Make sure it's clear that you've participated in the lessons. Checkpoint 02 is an opportunity for you to submit what you have so far again for your final project. At this point, every part of the chart or almost every part of the chart should be filled in. On checkpoint 1, I gave you feedback on what was missing and the kind of questions you should be answering in the assignment. So when I look at this should be almost everything you have or that you need to complete an outstanding final project. I will give you feedback on it again to let you know if something's missing or if there's some areas that are weak so that you can get everything you need for the final project. And that'll wrap up Unit 2. Unit 3 runs next week. The first lesson is on education and access to quality education. It has an online assignment. The second lesson is on economic stability, and it has an online assignment. And the third lesson is on built environment and environment or neighborhood, and it also has an online assignment. These online assignments all look very similar because I'm asking you the same questions, but I'm asking them about a different social determinant of health. So make sure with each assignment you're answering about that social determinant of health in a way that shows you've engaged with the lesson material. You have a discussion post at the end of Unit 3, and you have your final reflection for Unit 3, same kind of comments I've already given. Then at the end of Unit 3, you have the option to submit something that's a review of your final project. This optional submission about your final project is due on June 25th, and it would be one last chance for you to receive information from me and feedback from me on what you need to do to get the best grade possible on that final project. Your final project, with all the points that are associated with it, is almost 50% of your grade. So it's important that you work hard to get a really good grade on that assignment. So what it says here, when you open it, it says you don't submit anything here, but if you want me to look at your final project one more time before you submit it for a grade, that you do that in Unit 2 where you submitted checkpoint 2. You might submit the chart again with more information in it. You might submit a draft of your project. You might submit an outline of your project. It doesn't matter to me. It's just your one last chance to get feedback. Maybe only half of your project is done at that point and you want to show me what you have. Then you would leave me a note. This is one half of my project. I'd just like feedback. Whatever you submit, I will look at. It's not graded. It's not required, but you will receive feedback from me. After that, we go to Unit 4, and Unit 4 is mostly about your projects, and I'll talk about your projects again next week in another video. The extra credit assignment that is here, everyone has the ability to do that. It's worth 10 points. The key that I'm showing you is this is something that's not peer reviewed, something that's not professional. It has to be related to women's health, and it needs to be what the average person would see in the news, in a podcast, in a video. not professional literature or professional videos or podcasts. So it gives you an opportunity to look at what's happening in the real world and relate it back to the class. You've spent the whole semester looking at professional and peer-reviewed material. I want you now to look at what's going on in the real world. Extra credit is not turned in late, so if you want to do that, make sure you get it in on time. There is the description of the project. It explains what happens here. You remember, and I'll just go over this briefly. I'll go over it in detail again next week. Your final project is posted to a discussion board. You then evaluate your own and your peer projects. That's what's submitted here. I'm sorry, that's what's submitted here. Here, I will put your final grade in, and then you have a final reflection that's due. So we're almost done the semester. We're going to spend the next week wrapping up the social determinants of health, the last 3, and then the final unit is all based on your work on your unit, on your topic, and being able to share and review what other people have learned on their topics. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out and ask me for help. I'm here to help you do well in the class. And just to reiterate, you're doing a great job overall of keeping up with the work. There's a lot of work to do in 5 weeks in a 5-week class, but you're doing a nice job, and just keep plugging along. We're basically halfway through the class. Have a great week, and remember to reach out if you have questions.